Happy Friday!
Hello, welcome to JBDrumTalk. This is our first vlog, mate.
It is!
Welcome to sunny, stinking hot Cairns. It is currently 40 degrees.
It is so hot.
That's what it was before we came in here. I think it's hotter in our studio.
Yeah, because we got no aircon in this little room.
Yeah. It's rough.
Yeah, and we can't have the fan on because we're bringing you the best audio quality.
That's what we do. We're just here for you.
So if you see the sweat dripping, please excuse us.
Yeah, it's completely your fault.
Anyways, this is our first vlog. What are we talking about today, Molzo?
Today, we have had some comments and requests around what type of kit Jono plays for his covers. We want to know as much information as I can get from you about heads, about the DW series that you've been playing. We might talk about your gigging kit a little bit as well. So let's start from the beginning. What is your kit?
Cool. So at the moment, in the studio for the recordings that you've seen for the last few months that I've been using, it's been a DW design series kit. So it's a standard package kit you can get from DW. It's got a 22-inch kick drum.
It's black.
Oh, it is black.
It's matte black.
It's satin. No, it's satin black.
Satin black. I'm sorry. Well, I think it's nice.
Yes, it's really, really nice. It's an all maple kit. The only thing that is different on the kit is the snare drum. I'm really particular about my snare drum, so I bought a personalized snare drum that I really like the sound of. So I ended up purchasing a DW Purple Heart 14 by 6.5 inch deep snare to go with the kit. It comes with a 14-inch snare when you buy the kit pack that's available, but I'm actually using that 14-inch snare that comes with the kit with my live gigging kit at the moment.
Okay, fantastic. Yeah. So what is your gigging kit then?
My gigging kit at the moment is a Gretsch Renown Maple. It's a bop kit, so it's got a 18-inch bass drum, 12-inch rack tom, 14-inch floor tom, and then I'm using the DW snare with that. I'm currently looking to swap that out. I've been in negotiations of getting another little DW like I'm using in the studio because I just really enjoy the sound of that kit, so I want to get that for live as well. So I'm looking at the DW Design Series, the Mini Pro, which has an 18, 12, 14. So it's the same setup, just...
Yeah. So you haven't, just to be clear, haven't had any problems with the Gretsch?
No, the Gretsch has been perfect.
You've had it for a while though.
I've had it for a little while, and I'm a bit of a gear nerd, and I love updating my stuff. Yeah. And I've had the DW in the studio for about a year and a half now. I'm just so in love with that sound that I'm upgrading my current live kit to that as well.
Yeah, fantastic. So when we're looking at your two drum kits, do you run a very different tune between your studio kit and your live performance kit?
There is slight variances. As I said, I'm using a bop kit live. The sizes matter for live because, well, one, we got to drag it in and out, and it's not like we're playing at one venue for the whole weekend. It's, if we're doing 4 gigs, it's 4 different venues. Yeah. So there's a lug in, lug out. So smaller sizes, there's not such a big sound using smaller drums. And then tuning wise, there is a slight variance. The drum kit I'm using live is a little bit more open compared to the studio one. But when I say a little, I mean a little bit more open because I'm still live, close micing my live kit as well. So
fantastic. So let's work our way around the DW studio kit.
Yeah.
How about we start by just having a quick listen to your snare drum. We're going to give you an audio sample.
Yeah.
And we'll do that for each drum as we work around. We'll have a quick chat. Try that again. About each one. Okay. So here is the
DW Purple Heart
snare drum.
So as you just heard, that snare drum, it's a 14-inch round, 6.5-inch deep. It's the Purple Heart wood.
Round. Not
square. No.
It is a round drum.
It is a round drum. So it's 14 by 6.5. As you probably noticed, it's quite highly tuned. I like my snares having quite a bit of a crack behind them, so that's why I've got it tuned high. But the depth in the snare as well gives me the bottom end that I'm looking for. Whereas in some of the smaller drums, like your 5 or 5.5-inch deep,
not a very full sound, is it?
Not when it's tuned like that drum is. I have to actually back off the heads a little bit just to give it a little bit more depth in the sound.
So what head is on that particular drum?
So There's so many good heads,
Yes.
just to make that clear. I'm not like, there's so many good heads, but the head that I found that works for me with what I'm doing is the Evans Genera HD Dry. I've tried Remo, I've tried Aquarian, I've tried Evans. There was a lot of good things from each of those companies, but for me, I just kept coming back for the snare drum, the Genera HD Dry. That was the one that just sat so well. It kind of worked with every different sound that I was looking for and the style that I'm playing. So
Yeah. Also notice there's no gaff, no gels, nothing on that head.
Yep.
So
I like an open sounding snare, and look, the Genera HD Dry snare head comes with like a little baffle ring underneath, so it's already kind of muted a little bit.
Yeah.
But I still want it to sound semi-open. I don't want it to be completely choked that we're not getting the true tone of the drum.
Yep.
So
No, I think it sounds fantastic. And let's keep going around the kit. So that's your snare drum.
Yep.
We're gonna have a quick listen to your 3 toms. We'll do the 3 samples back to back. So you're listening to what are the sizes of your toms?
So I've got a 10-inch rack tom, a 12-inch rack tom, and a 16-inch floor tom. It's a 10 by 8, 12 by 9, and a 16 by 14.
Okay, let's have a listen to those samples. Cool. Fantastic. So, give us some insight into the heads used, how you tune them, if you're doing anything special.
So as you would have noticed on the toms, before I go there, the shells are all maple shells. There's birch, there's mahogany, there's pop. There's so many different timbers that you can get these days. The one that I've tried quite a few different ones as well. The one that sits quite well with me is maple. So these are all maple shells on this drum. But the reason I've stuck with maple is I just find it moves quite...
It's quite a rich sound.
Yeah, and I can use it in different areas of my playing, not just one area.
Well, talk us through each one.
Yep,
Let's go.
10-inch tom, 10 by 8 tom. I've got, I'm using on my toms the Evans G2. The reason I've selected that head is, and it coated as you've seen on the video as well, that I get nice attack, I get the nice warm bottom end, but I still get my rich mids. I was using the EC2s for a while as well, and they're a great head as like an all-rounder kind of head to be using, but I was just finding that I was having to do a little bit more EQing with the mids using the EC2s for a wider variety of styles, whereas the G2 kind of just works for what I'm doing at the moment in the studio.
Yeah, fantastic. So if we were looking at another brand like Remo or Aquarium, what would be the equivalent to a G2?
So the Aquarian have a Response 2, which is very, very similar to the G2. The Emperor in the Remo model would be very similar if we're looking at coated heads, and they're but 2-ply as well. I've used the Emperor. I like the Emperor. The Emperor's a really good head. I've got one of my other kits skinned with Emperors at the moment. One of my other Gretsch kits is skinned with all Aquarian heads, which is Response 2. And they're clear. So they're working really well for what they're doing there. So, you know...
We don't you don't have to lock into a brand or anything.
Nah.
Like, each company sort of has their own ones. It's really what your local supplier has available. I suppose, so.
And the sound you're going for. Each head has a different kind of thing, but I guess if you're starting like the EC2, the Emperor, so the EC2 clear, the Emperor 2 clear, or the Response 2 clear, are going to give you just a really good starting point where it gives you really good, overtones if you want to go that way, but at the same time, if you tune them down low, they give you that really kind of good, nice, heavy rock sound as well.
So each of your drums has either gels or tape or something.
So I try to move away from gaff. I mean, I do have drums with gaffer tape on them. It's kind of more of a scenario that I'm doing it live or just a really quick kind of setting to do. But you probably noticed in the video I was using the moon gel on my toms, and as each tom goes around, there's more gel. I tune my drums so the bottom head is slightly higher than the top head. The bottom head, with the way I've been tuning, I find that controls the resonance of the drum, how long the resonance going to sustain for, and then the top head is more of the pitch of where I want it to sit. Whereas if I tune the bottom head lower, than the top head, I lose all my sustain. I don't have that nice doom of the toms. So, the bottom head being slightly higher than the top head is a big thing for me. But then to eliminate in the studio all those overtones coming through the drums without having to use gates and compressors really heavily in post-production, I'm putting the moon gel on it, so when I kick the kick drum, it doesn't go, every time I hit the kick drum, it goes, all the toms don't go.
Don't start to resonate, yeah. So, we were talking about this before. Sound guys are so important, and your mix engineer should be your best friend.
Oh, of course.
But we don't always have the best sound guys as drummers, and it's more important that we have complete control over our sound before we get to the desk. So moon gels and your tune is just so important in the setup before we then pass it off for EQ or compression or anything.
You must tune your drums.
That's right. Tune your drums.
If a guitarist or, anyone on stage is tuning up, it's really important that you do the same thing, not just, that sounds like a drum, let's go.
Yeah.
It's really important to fit your sound in with the groups or the recording that you're doing to make the whole process a lot easier.
Yeah. Yep. All right, let's keep going. We're going to talk about the kick drum.
Yep.
What is your kick? And we'll listen to that.
So it's a 22-inch kick in the studio, 22 by 18. I'm using Evans heads once again. Mm-hmm. I'm using the EMAD clear as my batter head, so that's my strike head.
Yeah, and you've got the fat.
Yeah, I've got the thick foam ring on it, just to get it a bit more controlled in its sound. On my Rezo head, I'm using a white EQ3 Evans head again, with the pre-cut hole. The reason I went with the white head, it's a little bit vain, but I've got this nice satin black kit, the white and the black. It
has to look
really
good, doesn't
nice.
it? Yes, yeah.
So,
all right, hang on. Before you keep going, I'm going to interrupt you.
Yes.
Let's listen to the sample and then we'll jump back in.
Okay. Cool. So that's the bass drum. You've probably heard this really tight, really quick sounding bass drum. There's a few factors that lead to that. I've got the skins tuned quite low, or they're not tuned up. There's not a lot of resonance in the bass drum. The other thing that DW do quite well that I enjoy is they send you in the bass drum when you buy it. They've got these little pillows, so you put down a little bit of Velcro inside your bass drum, and then the Velcro on the pillow, and you can actually move the Velcro against the head really tight, or you can move it away from the head, so that allows for how tight the bass drum's going to sound or how open it's going to sound.
Yeah, I saw them in the shop. You can buy them like aftermarket as well.
They're definitely available aftermarket.
Yeah. So it's just making sure that you have contact with both of their heads. Is that right?
That's right. And just so you know, DW aren't the only ones that make that. There's other companies. Evans make like a little sound pillow. There's so many different options. The reason that I like that versus putting a pillow in, when you put a pillow or a big blanket in, you're limiting how the drum is going to sound, the actual timbre of the drum, or the whatever composite your shell's made up of. But by having these pillows, there's less contact with the timbre. You're really actually focusing on how the head moves against the timbre, so your sound is a lot more controlled that way, I guess. And you're getting the true tone of the drum.
So pretty loose heads with the pillow inside for muffling, and
that's where you're hearing that bass drum sound. There's a lot of tack on top. It gives you that really nice rich bottom end.
It's quite a full sound.
And the mids aren't in there barking at you, so it's pretty good.
Yeah, nice. So what pedals then are we using on our kick?
So I'm using, once again, the DW stuff. The DW pedals that you've seen on the kit, they're the DW 5000. There's a little story behind this.
Okay, I'm ready.
As a kid, I wanted a pair of DW 5000s because I seen them in a Drum Scene magazine once, and I was like, oh, they're so pretty! Because back then, pretty was more important than how the pedal worked. I know, right? When you're a teenager.
They're pretty good now, though.
Oh, they're pretty good. Listen to that. Dad jokes all day.
Yeah.
I've only had them for a year, so I had to wait like 18 years to get these pedals. When I worked and saved up for it.
It finally happened.
It happened.
Dreams do come true.
So yeah, I'm using the DW 5000s. The 9000 series is really good too. I purely went for the 5000s because it was a dream from a childhood, you know.
Yeah,
I
cool.
was like, I can have it.
And I know because you like things to match. It's
Yeah.
pretty, whatever. Your hi-hat matches your.
I've got the
your
DW
double kick
5000.
too.
Yes, I
Okay.
do. And it's only the 2-leg one with a single plate underneath the pedal to hold it up, and it just kind of really works well with having your left pedal there. You don't have a third leg coming down.
Yeah, on the hi-hat.
Yeah, on the hi-hat.
Yeah, no, I really like that hi-hat stand. So, are you using 5000 series hardware on the rest of the kit?
No, just the pedals and the hi-hat stand. The rest of the kit I'm using 3000 purely because it was a little bit lighter.
Yeah.
And you know, when you're dragging your stuff around as a live musician doing over 100 gigs in the year, you want stuff. Look, I want stuff that works and is strong.
That's
the 3000 gave me that still, but it was a little bit lighter, so I wasn't breaking my back lugging it in.
Just a practicality.
Yeah,
thing.
that's it.
Yeah. I think Yamaha and
DW
are both coming out with light.
They've got it out at the moment.
Yeah.
So DW has 6000 series lightweight stands. I'm not sure of the Yamaha one, but went to one of our local retailers a few months back and had a look. It's incredible for gigging. Like it's so much smaller in your pack up and all that, but at the same time, holy moly! Like it makes a huge difference to how you lug it in and out.
We might try and do a review on that sometime soon.
Yeah, 100%.
As we go forward.
Yep.
I'm just going to shoot this fly off my head.
Yep.
Australia. Okay. Well,
cymbals.
We've talked about. I was getting there.
Okay.
14-inch.
14-inch hi-hats.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then
The one above the hi-hats is a 16-inch crash, and it's a thin crash.
yeah.
Then going over to the next crash, it's a 17, so above my ride, it's a 17-inch crash cymbal. I know they're very close in sizes, but I like the sound that they both give. My 17 also is a thin crash. I like them why I go thin and the darker sounds is they're just a really quick sounding cymbal. So you hit them, the sound's there and then it's gone.
Yeah.
So it works in the studio, it works live.
Yeah.
It's really, really cool. My ride cymbal, sometimes I use an actual ride cymbal or I use a large crash as my ride cymbal. So, with the ride, I still like to be able to crash it and get under it like a lot of drummers are doing these days. And if your ride cymbal's a really heavy and thick ride, one, it won't work that like a crash cymbal, or two, it just sounds clunky and loud and whatnot. So at the moment in the studio, I'm running a 20-inch thin crash. The only thing that I do notice that a ride cymbal gives a little bit better is the bell is really defined on a ride cymbal, whereas on a crash, like a 20-inch crash, the bell's not as defined. So,
I mean, the most important thing as we go through all of this equipment, if you're starting out, if you can't afford new gear, remember the most important part is that you're playing the stuff you got, and that you can really tune up some of the either older or cheaper kits to sound really nice. Check out your local Craigslist or Gumtree. Look for a good deal if you wanted to upgrade your kit or whatever. That's a good place to start.
Also, check out your local retailers. If you get a good rapport going on with them, they're going to look after you so well. You know, they usually have drum experts at most of them, so they're going to give you the same information that we're giving you, but they might even have it on the ground there that you can hear the different ones. So always look for a bargain, but at the same time, if you can't find that or you don't have a local retailer that you can go, Craigslist, Gumtree is just such a good option to go for as well.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Well, that's sort of the drum kit
Yep.
across the board, everything. If you still have questions, make sure you ask them in the comments. We'll
Yeah.
reply, give you as much information as we can.
Yeah.
We might call it there.
Fantastic.
Our
First vlog.
First vlog.
No!
Made it. Our next piece of content coming out is a cover. It's dropping tomorrow.
It is.
Jono is playing Trampoline
I am.
by
Shade and Zane.
Shade and Zane.
This was a fun one to play. I think you're really going to enjoy it because I enjoyed it too.
It came out pretty well, and I got to photograph Jono on Trampoline. So, hey, quick update. I've just tried to upload that video, and there's a few issues with copyright on YouTube. It's meant that we've had to do a pitch shift on the video. It does sound like it's a man singing instead of a lady, but that's okay. The drums still sound good. We put up the video. I hope you enjoy. I'm going to pass back to those guys. Okay, bye. You know.
You'll see it. You'll see it.
Remember to do all the things, like, subscribe, click the bell, all of that stuff, and we will see you next Friday for Happy Friday, JB Drum Talk.
Thank you very much. See you then.
Bye.
Bye.